Hey guys, it's me. So I've decided that I didn't want to really pursue content creation anymore. Since then, I had to factory reset my computer. I don't have stream stuff set up, so the quality on this might be really bad. But I recently played a game, and I heavily regret streaming it for the amount of fun I had with it. And it's so niche, I can't find anyone talking about it. So I just wanted to record some unscripted ramblings talking about it. So, the game in question is Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. I thought this was Steam only, it doesn't have a console release, but it actually does have mobile versions. You can play it on Android and iOS. So I'm going to let the Steam trailer play, and I'm just going to talk about it. The first thing you'll immediately notice is it is very unabashedly inspired by Ace Attorney. And that's the reason that I grabbed it, the reason I immediately played it, all that jazz. It takes a lot of unique things. The main character has an ability called the Eye of Horus, which is similar to Athena's mood matrix, where you can see people's emotions. But it's not like a game. It's not like a mini game type thing. It's just active the entire game, and it leads a lot into being able to see into the insights of certain characters, like that guy there. If you like Ace Attorney at all, you will love this game. Conversely, game is $20, so go give it a shot if you're just looking for something to try out. It also has a magic system, which makes me think of the Professor Layton crossover, but it also takes a lot of D&D inspirations. A lot of the spells are just pulled from D&D, with maybe slight tweaks. But yeah, game is really good. I just kind of grabbed it and popped it into a voice chat, and I wasn't expecting anyone to really care. And then for the next 4 days, I was just streaming it every day after work until I was done with it. And I regret so much not streaming it. And every day it was well, I could start streaming this, but I didn't stream the last session or sessions, so why would I start now? And oh my god, that is a mistake. You often hear people, every now and then on Twitter, they'll be like, if you could remove your memories from one game to play it again, what would you do? And I never had an answer. And maybe it's just recency bias. I finished this 3 days ago, but I want to remove my memories of this game, and I want to remove my friends' memories of this game so we can play it again and I can stream it this time, or alternatively just let me go back in time a week. Anyway, game is so niche that I can't even find an English wiki. So I'm just gonna have to navigate this wiki as best I can. I want to talk about Tyrion a little first because he's the main character, but I can't actually find a page for him. Where'd Steam go? But this guy. So he has the Eye of Horus, which lets him kind of see people's inner thoughts as well as their emotions, which kind of becomes a flavor text in a lot of ways, but it's also just helps endear to certain characters a lot. I don't think he's particularly interesting, but he's very serviceable for the game, and doesn't need to be because the rest of the cast is pretty good. So we have Celeste McCoy, who is the assistant character. She's the Maya. Initially, she's just a mercenary that gets accused of murder, but after you save her and piss off some nobles, your mentor character decides to hire her as a bodyguard. And so that's her excuse to stick with you the entire game. Also, I'm gonna try to be spoiler-free as much as I can for now, and then I'll go into case breakdowns later on, and I'll give a proper spoiler warning for that. Please play this game, especially if Ace Attorney, or you just want a 20-hour visual novel. It's really good. I had a blast playing it, and again, if I could go back in time a week just to stream it so I can have reactions to certain things, I absolutely would, in a heartbeat, no questions asked. So Celeste, again, she's the assistant. This game, she uses magic during investigations. It's a spell called Detect Magic, and what it does is it lets you kind of just see the families of spells that will cast. So, for instance, like each family of spell, necromancy, evocation, other stuff I don't remember off the top of my head, has its own color. So you can see like, oh, there's like a purple puddle here. Someone cast a necromancy spell. Oh, there's a yellow color here. Someone cast an invocation spell or whatever. She's really solid. She also flirts really well with like the main character. Their dynamic, I enjoyed a lot. There'll be like comments every now and then of her like almost kind of teasing or flirting. They drop a joke like 10 minutes into the game where the main character is playing chess with himself, and she's like, "Hey, I'd never shame a man for playing with himself." And it's not like pinnacle of jokes, but I feel like if you're gonna drop that kind of joke in the first 10 minutes of the game, like, you know what you're doing. And that was like the immediate like, yeah, I'm gonna enjoy this. So that's Celeste. Next we have Alia. Alia is the prosecutor, the Miles, the Francisca. She feels like a solid combination between the two of them. She doesn't care about, you know, winning or nobility so much as she wants to find the truth, which is very Miles. And she's very enjoyable. Probably my favorite design out of like the main cast. I think Rika might be my favorite design overall, but she only is like a feature in one case, so I can't do much for her. Also the twins, I guess. I was thinking for a while about what it was about this game that made me so in love with it, and I think part of it comes down to the magic system and how it's incorporated with the world, but a lot of it is also just the character dynamics. The characters themselves are like, you know, trying to compare to Ace Attorney, they're not the best characters. Alia is not my favorite prosecutor. That would be like, so I was gonna say Godot or Clavier. Celeste is not my favorite sidekick. That would be Trucy. It's like that kind of thing, but Celeste to me is as good as Maya. Alia is as good as like Miles and Francisca. Like the characters are great, but I think the thing that seals it for me is the dynamics and the way they bounce off of each other. You have like the blooming romance between Celeste and Tyrion as they travel together. You have the sisterly friendship between Celeste and Alia as they, you know, just get to know each other. You have the mutual respect as colleagues between Tyrion and Alia. There's a scene. I don't wanna like spoil it, because it's case 4. Case 4 and 5 are like the big cases where I would actually not want to talk about. But there's a moment between Alia and Tyrion that shows like how much she trusts him and is willing to let him help her. And I can't imagine like any of the Ace Attorney prosecutors doing that. Specifically towards like, you know, the Phoenix, the Apollo, the main character. And then we have Ruby Tamura, who I should be able to find an image of somewhere right here. Ruby is the mentor, so the Mia, I guess. She's also Tyrion's adopted mom, kind of. She took him in after failing to get his mom acquitted, and he wanted to become an attorney so he could like help her protect the innocent. But the dynamic takes a turn, and it's like way better than Phoenix and Mia, way better than, I mean, I guess Mia's really the only mentor, but like easily the strongest student-mentor relationship in the series, or like if comparing to Ace Attorney. It's really great. And then we have, I'm even getting Phoenix Wright stuff in there. Can I find Lucio? I don't think I can find Lucio, but Lucio is Alia's dad. And he also has He's a bit more late game, so he doesn't have as much screen time with development. But like the trust he builds with Celeste as Warriors, because she's like freakishly strong, and then the respect he has for Tyrion as the guy trying to find the truth. He's like immediately dislikable, but he really grows on you with some of the things he says and some of the decisions he makes. So those are like the main few characters that I would want to talk about. I also want to talk about the antagonist a little more, so I guess slight spoiler, but the game is very obvious about who the antagonist is, so it's not like a spoiler to know, but I guess there's pre-spoiler warning if you're already sold and just want to be completely blind. 3, 2, 1. I was hoping to immediately find her, and I have not. And I still have not. And I still have not. Music is also composed by Insane in the Rain and Shady Scada, if you know either of them. I know I saw her page. So I was hoping to find it. Elis Ilmater is the, like, very obvious antagonist, and she just kind of wants to, like, toy with Tyrion a lot of the time, but she has this thing. It's like, my friend was calling it King Crimson, I was almost comparing it to, like, Undertale. Well, the game will, when she's talking or when someone's talking about her, the game will glitch out and, like, change what was being said. So it's very, like, ominous. I mean, she even has, like, yandere design. You can look at her for 2 seconds and go, oh yeah, she's evil in some regard. I like her a lot. She is very possibly my favorite antagonist in recent memory. I don't know exactly where I would cut that off. I don't have a lot of, like, reference points, but I, like, really enjoyed the ominous presence she gives, and the way she, like, tries to break down Tyrion or certain characters in certain moments. Very good. Okay, I now would like to talk about individual cases. So, again, first 3 are very small. My initial criticism of the game was just how short the cases were, but that's really just an issue with 1, 2, 3. So I could talk about 1, 2, 3 and it not be super spoiler, but 4 and 5 I would definitely recommend getting out if you have any interest in playing the game at all. So case 1 is Celeste being accused of murdering her dad. The murder is committed with a spell called Shape Fluid, where the person just kind of took water and froze it into a blade and stabbed her dad. And so you have to defend her. Not a whole lot to say, but it's your introduction to her, your introduction to Arya, your introduction to, like, the systems of the world as a whole with magic. Everyone that can use magic has, like, noble blood, and they have a compendium which shows every spell they can learn. Her sword was, like, planted into the person, but when it's revealed that the sword wasn't the murder weapon, the doubt is immediately cast off of her, because she clearly wasn't, like, the one that did it, because she only knows one spell at this point in the game. Case 2 is in a school, and this is where you meet Alis for the first time. I was hoping to have a hotkey to the second case, but I guess not. tell you what. I'm just gonna do this. I'll just boot up the game. And then, like, immediately mute it. So, second case is in a school. And the person you're defending is studying necromancy. And so it's like everyone is immediately doesn't like him because why are you studying necromancy? Nothing good can come from necromancy. Interestingly, and I kind of like this, healing is considered necromancy in this universe. So he's just trying to be a healer and like a doctor because his sister got an incurable illness and wasn't able to be saved. So he wants to study like the medical field so that he can save people. But that results in him studying necromancy. And so when it's revealed that the victim has traces of necromancy on her, which was someone else just trying to heal her when they found her dead, it immediately casts the suspicion onto him because he's the only necromancer. It has to be him. There's necromancy on her body. Again, like, first three cases are short, not a lot to really say. He's probably my least favorite character, but he's not really recurring. He's fine. I just don't really care too much. But the interesting thing we learned in this case is Celeste has already learned, like, 3 new spells, one of which being Detect Magic, which has, like, Arya surprised, wait, you learned a few spells in a few hours? And that's just, like, a recurring theme throughout the game, where, oh, this person is just naturally gifted. She learns spells really fast. She's freakishly strong. She's a mercenary. She's now being hired as our bodyguard because we've pissed people off and is, like, strong enough that she can actually protect us. She clashes with strong people later on in the game. The other one interesting tidbit here on case 2 is there's a point where you're talking to Eris after the first trial, and she's talking about, like, wow, the courtroom is really thrilling. It was so much fun to watch. It must be even more fun to be the attorney, be the person, like, doing it. And Tyrion's like, nah, I don't care about, like, I don't do this because it's fun. I do it because I want to save people. And Eris has some comment, I don't know what was said, but then it kind of, glitches out and goes back, where she's just, and it changes. And you can actually replay that conversation. And at this point in the VC, no one had noticed the glitching, so it was like this, only I've seen it. So I tried to show my friend it by replaying that conversation, and instead of doing that, she's just like, what, did you think I would do it again? And Tyrion has no idea what she's talking about, but she's like, speaking to the player. Like, yeah, you saw me glitch out, you wanted to see me do it again. No, I'm not gonna do it again. It's just, like, really fun, the interactions that leaves. Third case is in Tyrion's hometown. This is where you meet Rika, who's childhood friend. She's the Chuny stand-in. The interesting thing about this case is it's not a murder. You're defending this guy from, like, workplace negligence because someone died in his job. Someone that was working for him died in the place, fell into, like, a vat of magic. And the accusation is that it was, negligence. He should be shut down. The entire job should be shut down. But this is being pushed by a noble who just wants the monopoly on the area to sell everything himself. A lot of people consider this the worst case, or at least worse than case 2. And I think that's fair. 1, 2, 3 to me are all about interchangeable, but there's some small moments in case 3 that make me really enjoy it. For one, this is where, like, the Tyrion and Celeste romance starts to really kick off. You have, after the first day in court, Tyrion's, like, stressed and snaps at her, and they go back so we can take a nap. And he's having a nightmare, and so she starts holding his hand to, like, help calm him down, and then she falls asleep beside him, holding his hand, and when they wake up, it's this whole thing of, like, let's go, and then it says, like, we left the room with a little too much purpose. This case, we also meet Aster, who I'm not going to say a lot for right now, but is very important. And he's actually engaged with Alia, the prosecutor. And he tells us that she doesn't like him. And so he's helping us investigate because he's an important person. And to talk to someone that we know will never talk to us, Celeste kinda, spur of the moment, disguises us. Herself as Alia, then me as Tyrion as, like, someone else from earlier in the game. And so you run into Alia, and Alia's not happy about being impersonated, and is, like, you know, yelling at us. Impersonating nobles is a crime. Yada yada yada. And then Aster comes back, and it's like, oh, this is gonna go from bad to worse. She doesn't like Aster, and she's already mad at us. This is gonna be horrible. And he shows up, and she immediately turns to jelly, because she has, like, a massive fucking crush on him. The Eye of Horus, where you have the internal thoughts, it's literally just keyboard smashing. That's all it is. It's just keyboard smashing for, like, the text. It's great. It's such a good subversion. Oh yeah, also Aster is, like, giant Tyrion fanboy. The first time you talk to him, he realizes who we are and is like, oh, am I being interrogated? Oh, this is great. I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this. I look up to you greatly. So, as a case, I think it's fair to say that, like, 2 is better than 3, but the small moments within 3, it leads to me enjoying it so much more. You have more of the budding romance between Celeste and Tyrion, what really starts. You have the Alia and Aster stuff. Aster himself is just a joy. You have Rika. It's just good. And then case 4 and 5 are, like, the big spoiler cases. So if I've convinced you this game is, like, worth giving a shot, I mean, again, it's $20 on Steam. So, like, go grab it. But if you have already played it and just, like me, wanted to hear someone talk about it, or you just don't care, we're getting into, like, the 2 big spoiler cases. So, case 4 opens with you playing as Ruby, which, again, was Tyrion's mentor. And you immediately see that she does things differently. She's trying to defend Beatrice, and she, like, for the small section you're playing as her, and it starts in the courtroom trial, by the way, which, like, no other case has done, not even the first case. Ruby basically tells the player, like, what to do, because she already knows she's set a trap that the prosecution's falling into, because she's withheld information. And then Alia, who's trying to prosecute, is secretly injured and collapses. And Tyrion, who knows something's wrong, and that Ruby's client maybe isn't guilty, but has, like, a guilty conscience, has ties to whatever's going on, he wants to find the truth. He can't let this in here, so he jumps in to prosecute, which is interesting. Ace Attorney, you've had, like, the prosecutor being a defense attorney with Miles and 3-5, but you've never had, like, the defense attorney manning the prosecution. So that was, like, a really cool twist. And then after, like, he jumps in, it kind of cuts back a day to when things unfold. And it's like, now the whole thing is at a ball. Like a very formal meeting where one of the head nobles is killed. And so you have, like, Tyrion's just kind of trying to walk around. He doesn't want the social attention. He just wants to, like, leave. You have Celeste, who's trying to find her parents' identity because she's adopted. I don't remember if she knew she was adopted, like, out the gate, but she wouldn't be able to use magic if she wasn't. So one of the kind of looming plot threads is trying to figure out who her parents are, just so she can meet them. So she's off, you know, trying to find information on that. I think Tyrion's just trying to find, like, peace and quiet. He's just there because he has to be. There's a nice scene of them both dancing. She's, like, in a dress because it's a formal occasion. More like moments between them. And when the murder happens, Aster asks Tyrion to investigate, like, for him. So Tyrion is a third-person investigator, and this is where he has a conversation with Arya, which sets up what I was talking about earlier, like the trust between them, where when Tyrion jumps in to, like, fill in for the prosecution, the judge immediately tries to throw him out, because, like, that's not what he's supposed to do. And Arya had actually left a note basically saying, like, if I pass out, I entrust the prosecution to Tyrion Cuthbert. And it's the only reason he's allowed to stick around and prosecute. And it's, like, to have that level of forethought is insane to me within, especially Ace Attorney, where the prosecution is always just, like, hateful towards the defense. To have the prosecutor basically go, like, yeah, I trust this guy to carry on the prosecution in my stead is insane. So while you're investigating, you run into Lucio for the first time, which is Arya's dad, and, like, on sight, he tries to kill Tyrion. And he's, like, the Grand General, mind you, so he's one of the strongest people in the country. And, like, Celeste kind of steps in to back him off, to, like, you know, get him to back off. And there's a lot of, like, very hateful comments she says towards him because she's in love with Tyrion. He's trying to kill him out of nowhere. And this leads into what I was saying of, like, the respect that builds between them. But I'll get to that a little more, because there's a funny moment at the end of the game, like, that touches back to it. But so you get to the trial, and what you basically find out is that Beatrice, the person Ruby was defending, has a blood contract with a demon. And the demon was the one that killed the person, but could only kill him under, like, Beatrice's orders. So even though she quote-unquote didn't kill him, she's just as guilty. And this sets blood contracts into the picture. And Tyrion is kind of just, like, I don't know, gifted the ability where presumably his mom, like, from the afterlife is like, hey, I'll help you just this once. You can't do this on your own. And then gives, like, this divine edict that forces the blood contract to reveal itself. And then with that, you're able to prove that she's guilty. You find out demons can't lie with a funny comment about, like, hey, you demon, I need you to tell me that my hair is green. And everyone's like, that's so dumb, what are you doing, you're just stalling, stop making a joke of this. And the demon is refusing to say it. And the judge is like, hang on, this is dumb, but the demon isn't saying it. Why isn't the demon saying it? I'm probably, like, forgetting things. There's plenty of good moments in Case 4, but the part that I just cannot stop thinking about that's had me, like, obsessed with this game is Case 5. So Case 5 is... Oh, I can't go to Case 5 yet. I forgot. So Case 4, you find out that Ruby is working with, like, the Eye Taker with very... I don't know, like, underground mafia-esque people that are doing bad things, and she's trying to get Tyrion to, like, see her side, that you can't win against nobility as a defense attorney if you fight fairly. There's a great scene of Aerys, like, just trying to talk to Tyrion, and she leans in and she's like, do you think Celeste will ever love you? She's only here because you pay her. Once the money dries up, she's gone. And you can see it shakes Tyrion, because by this point, they would, like, hold hands to, like, she would hold his hand to calm him down. And when they leave, she tries to grab his hand and he, like, jerks it away. So you can see this is affecting him. At the end of the trial, he basically, like, disowns Ruby as his adopted mom because he can't agree with what she's doing. It's like, I trusted you, I told you about my power, the Eye of Horus, it took me years to tell you because I'm so shaken up about it, and you used that information, you told, like, the underground people, like, no, I don't like you, I don't want to associate with you ever again. And then, like, as he's leaving, Celeste walks in, and it flashes back to the Eris conversation where it's like, do you think she will ever love you? And she's, like, afraid to reach out her hand because he rejected it last time. And this time he grabs her hand and is like, hey, I need to tell you about this power I have. And it's like, you left worried that he's just gonna burn down all of his bridges, but he has so much faith and trust in her that he's able to, in that moment with all of that, like, stress and anxiety, betrayal, and he's able to entrust her with that information, it's huge. I would curse, but I try not to curse on YouTube, at least F for it. So you get to case 5. There's like a month time skip. Tyrion's torn up, can't get out of bed because he's so, like, unnerved about, the stuff with his mom. Also, because Celeste now knows about the Eye of Horus, there's a lot of fun interactions with them. Well, she'll have some kind of flirty thought that she doesn't want to say, and he's just like, hey, Celeste, your thoughts are leaking. And she's, like, embarrassed, and is like, get out of my head. Get out of my head. And it's like, I can't do that. I don't control this power. It's just something that happens to me. So, like, their relationship is already immediately great this chapter. You receive a letter from Pierce, the first guy, the guy that killed Celeste's dad. And it basically says, like, hey, I've obtained information about Celeste's parents. I will give you this information in exchange for you, like, representing me in court and setting me free. Basically, like, defending me, getting me declared innocent. And they're like, no, we don't trust him. We are not getting him out. But let's go talk to him. Maybe with the Eye of Horus we can pick something up. Yada yada. So you go to this, like, big place. Every noble you've met up to this point, and then some, is there. Astor's there. Arya's there. All of, like, Beatrice and her sisters are there. The head of the Von Sanctus house who you fought in the third case is there. More people that you haven't met are there. Like, everyone important is there. And it's clearly some big deal, but you're not sure what it is. It's like 3 things at once. The first is the death of Astor's dad. The second is Astor himself being officially, like, coronated as the king because he's the crown prince. And the third is the wedding between him and Arya. And this is also why, I don't know, Pierce is able to pull some strings and be there even though he's on death row. Beatrice is able to pull some strings and get there even though she's on death row. It's great. So they show up early, they talk to a few people, and then it's like, hey, we have an hour to kill before we go meet with Pierce. Do you want to go sightsee? And I just think it's funny. It's like this autistic-ass response. Celeste is like, oh, are you asking me out? And he's like, we're literally already out. I just think it's like a really funny response. She doesn't fight it, she just goes with it. So they meet with Pierce, and they're talking with Pierce. And Pierce is like, wait, you two, why are you here? And they're like, you sent us a letter. And he's like, no, I sent that letter, but it wasn't to you. And then you hear commotions outside. Celeste goes to, like, investigate because she's strong. She's the bodyguard. She needs to see what's going on so she can protect him so they don't get jumped. While she's gone, Beatrice slips in and puts both of you to sleep. You wake up to, like, Celeste crying because she thought you died. Pierce is now dead. Arya is like, please arrest me. I cannot control myself. Please, like, arrest me, lock me up, put an anti-magic field on me so I can't hurt anyone. And you find out that Pierce isn't the only victim. There were 3 victims this case. So you investigate, you go to the trial. Lucio's dad is the prosecutor. She's already prosecuted, like, Arya's mom. He's set up as this, like, uncaring figure. He prosecuted his wife to a guilty verdict, and he's now about to prosecute his daughter. And at the start of the case, what you find out is Arya has a blood contract. And when you find this out, it leaves no room for interpretation. There's nothing vague, there's nothing to dispute. Because you can get someone out of the blood contract if you dispute the papers. And Tyrion actually offered that to Beatrice, like, hey, I'll dispute your contract. We can look through this. I can save you. And she's like, no need. This is my mistake. I've dug my grave. I'm gonna lie in it. But Alia's is like 2 sentences. It's like, for the purposes of this document, the person that gave this document to Celeste will be Alia will be referred to as the patron. Alia offers her mind, soul, and body to the patron with this signature, and that's it. So the assumption is she was given like a contract disguised as a different contract that she signed, and because she signed it, she lost control of herself, was taken over, and killed people. And so the entire like first case is about who is the patron, because Alia will never be free until the patron dies. So you have to unmask this person and kill them, and that's the only way Alia will be free. And that's like the entire first case, or the first trial. And then when it's decided you need another day to investigate, Tyrion goes and talks to like nobles. He gets the idea of, hey, the patron's gonna have a blood contract. Let's just like try to manifest the blood contract of every person who's in the vicinity. And he's like, okay, I'll go alphabetical order. We'll start with Aster. Aster doesn't have a blood contract. Because he doesn't have a blood contract, Tyrion dies. And, like, thankfully there was a healer nearby that's able to bring him back to life. And, I think it's implied Alis also just, like, let him come back to life because she's not done playing with him. But, so it's like, hey, if you try to manifest a blood contract and the person doesn't have one, you die. That's it. Game over. So, manifesting Beatrice's is whatever, because you were basically, like, told to do that by the Divine. Oh yeah, the demon that Beatrice had a blood contract with calls Tyrion, like, a Heaven's Blood or something, which I don't know if we get the explanation then, but it's basically that Tyrion's blood has been touched by, like, the Celestials. So his Eye of Horus ability is just, like, a divine ability he has. Anyway. So when he tried to manifest Alia's blood contract, he could have literally died for it. It was a gamble, and he didn't even know, and now he knows, so he can't just keep doing that at will. It's every time he tries, he's literally risking his entire life. So after talking to everyone else, he wants to go talk to the Eye Taker, the person that like Ruby was in alliance with or whatever. But to find him, he doesn't know who he is, so he goes to Ruby. And so they have, like, their makeup... Maybe not makeup, but, like, they talk it out. And Tyrion realizes, like, wait, you don't remember Alis, the Eye Taker's daughter? She was there with us. And Ruby's like, no, the Eye Taker's daughter has red hair. And so Tyrion's now realizing that Alis is, like, very bad. And, again, dramatic irony, the player has shown this throughout the entire game. Through, like, bonus scenes at the start or end of cases, you'll see Alis doing things and, like, pulling strings. But this is the first time Tyrion sees it. And so he's like... I think he's also pieced together that Ruby has a blood contract because her memories were tampered with. So he basically, like, kills 2 birds with 1 stone and is like, Alis, Illuminator, wherever you are, manifest your blood contract with Ruby. So and it works. So now they know Alis is, like, very bad. And when it cuts to the second trial, like, right after this, she's just immediately on the bench. But they can't prove that she herself did anything, because all she did was, like, manipulate people through blood contracts. And, like, I don't... This entire trial is crazy. I don't remember anything that happens before, like, the moment I will never forget. Which is, at some point, it's pointed to... For Alia to have signed that contract, it would have to be given to her by someone she completely trusts. And Alis is, like, openly wants to see Tyrion suffer. And it's like, okay, so who gave her that blood contract? Oh. Oh, no. It's Celeste. Celeste also has a blood contract, is the patron, which means the only way to save Arya is to kill Celeste. And when it makes you like present the profile of the patron, it makes you do it like 5 times because Tyrion cannot do it. He's so like unnerved, doesn't want to accept it. God, dude, that moment is like, people say that the highs of this game don't hit as high as Ace Attorney. I played Ace Attorney in high school, so admittedly, like, my memory on it's kind of hazy, but like, this moment I am never gonna forget. It is presenting Chiaki as the traitor in Danganronpa 2. Like, it is that level of, like, it hits so hard. Once the blood contract appears, like, the first sentence is like, with the apparent death of Tyrion Cuthbert, and he's just like, wait, I died? So her blood contract was basically, hey, sign this blood contract in exchange, sign this blood contract and kill Garrett Pierce. In exchange, I will bring Tyrion back to life. It's so good. So everyone at this point is ready to give up, and Arya, like, jumps down from the stands. I don't even know what she says, but, like, kind of encourages Tyrion to keep going, like, so what? She has a blood contract, who cares? That doesn't solve the mystery of everything. It's so good. The next, like, main thing that happens is you try to dispute Celeste's blood contract to say that, like, the terms that were agreed upon were not met, or whatever. There's a few smaller things I want to talk about first, just because they're fun. If you remember, I said that Lucio, like, attacks Tyrion on sight. It comes back up, and he just talks about, like, because Tyrion's a Heaven's Blood, like, you as a warrior, you can feel it. You can tell that there's, like, something wrong, something unnatural, and it, like, intimidates, and so that's why he attacks. And in one of his first, like, kind of showings of respect towards Celeste is like, you're a very strong warrior. Surely you felt this too. And the game flashes back to their first meeting from Celeste's perspective, and she's just like, wow, he's cute. And it's so good. So you go to dispute the blood contract, and at the start of the case, you get this this monologue. I've killed people. They're usually criminals and bandits, but it still frightened me how unaffected I was by the deaths. It came so easily to me. I was good at it. People told me that taking lives of others would be harder, but I never felt that uneasiness. Not even once. It made me think that I was some kind of unfeeling monster, and maybe I am. But the time I spent with you filled me with more happiness than I could have ever dreamed of. Instead of taking lives, I could save them alongside you. It felt good to protect you. I felt needed when I knew you were relying on me. Yada 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 yada. But it was too good to be true, wasn't it? In the end, I failed you. I couldn't protect you just like I couldn't protect my father. I don't understand. What did you ever see in someone like me? And it's like ambiguous about who that is. And I read it, and I'm immediately like, this feels like it's Celeste talking, but how do we get there? So, when Tyrion basically, like, puts his life on the line to dispute Celeste's blood contract, you get that entire monologue again, but now it's, like, explicitly Celeste talking. But it adds on, like, I don't understand. Why would you go this far for? And he's just like, it's good to see you too. And she gets mad at him for it, and it's great. Like, I signed my soul away just to bring you back to life, and you threw your life away like that. And he's like, I would have never, like, let this end with your death. You know that. Do you even know me? And she's like, this is why I couldn't tell you the truth. Because I knew you'd do something stupid. And they just, like, kind of fight. You can't beat me in chess. How could you keep a murder from me? And then she's like, it wears off, and she's just, whatever. And then Ayla shows up. Like, you hate me, don't you? I'm the disgusting murderer you've been looking for. Why can't you just let me die? And he's like, do you think I care for you that little? You're extremely important. One betrayal won't change how I feel. Anyway, so Ayla shows up, and they dispute the contract. Tyrion awakens to his, like, angelic powers, which means he no longer can lie as well. If he lies, it'll kill him. But it also, like, it works to counter, Aelis's, like, inability to lie, because she's able to dance around the truth. Like, But now he's able to see that she's dancing around the truth, proclaim the truth she's dancing around, and, like, uno reverso it. And it's great. What you find out, she just starts throwing proclamations after you. The only ones in the room when Pierce died were Celeste, Beatrice, me, Pierce, and Tyrion. And then she's like, I didn't kill Pierce. Beatrice didn't kill Pierce. Celeste's actions directly brought about the death of Pierce. But she never says Celeste killed Pierce. And so Tyrion realizes Pierce killed himself, which means that Celeste never killed him, so the contract, like, couldn't be fulfilled. It was null and void, because Celeste never killed Pierce. And so, like, that's it, the contract's been disputed, you get out. Aelys throws a fit, like, I'm a god, how could I lose like this? Throughout the entire game, Tyrion's basically had a catchphrase of, like, no one will stand in my way, whether they be man, king, or god. And so Aelys has that fit, and Celeste's just like, Tyrion, does she know? Tyrion, does she know? And then he says it, and it's great. So they get back. Celeste never signed a blood contract, so she's not the patron. Now they're back at square zero. Up to this point, I've been like positive that the patron was the Archbishop, because he was there when Aster and Arya signed the wedding vows. Because I've got it open. Arya's wedding vow reads like a love contract, like a wedding contract, license, whatever. So it's my impression that, like, okay, so, and I've had this like read from the start that the Archbishop is the patron. The patron is Aster. Aster, despite not having a blood contract, was still working with the demons and basically signed away his wife. I think my biggest issue with the game, and this is like kind of nitpick, is I never felt like I took down Aster. I always had my eyes on Theon, and through, like, Celeste testifying again, now that she's free of the blood contract and her memories being tampered with, accidentally, like, points a finger of suspicion onto Aster, so we have him testify. But I'm still expecting, like, he'll say something that'll point us towards Theon, and Theon's the guy. And Aster's eventually like, listen, it was me. Tyrion, even if we had Theon testify, Tyrion would just figure it out, it's me. And on one hand, I like that, but it really means that I never got to, like, take down Aster. It felt like the game kind of gave it to me. And that's maybe my one gripe with the game, but that's not a bad thing. It's just like, I feel like I didn't get the big climax. But so, Aster's like, okay, so I did it. What are you gonna do? I'm the king. The only other person that could take the throne is my 7-year-old brother. Are you gonna have my 7-year-old brother take the throne? We know how that works in history. And no one wants to strike him down. And it's realized, wait a minute. He could have just killed, like, the nobles. Why did he kill Pierce? Why did they try to kill Celeste? Oh, by the way, so Pierce takes his own life, and then Celeste signs the contract afterwards to catch Aelys on a technicality, basically. So she signed a contract that could never have been fulfilled to, like, seal her life away. I don't know if she intended deep down for Tyrion to dispute it and save her, or, like, why you signed that contract otherwise, but, like, Jesus, dude. So anyway, the question is basically then thrown up. Wait a minute. Pierce knew who Celeste's parents were. We're not the one he sent that letter to. So that letter had to have been sent to, like, Aster or Aelys or someone. So they're trying to kill... Celeste because she would pose a threat to the throne. Why would she pose a threat to the throne? If she was of, like, the royal line, she's a bastard child, or she wouldn't have been, like, left in a random tavern out in the boonies, or whatever. So she can't be of royal line, but she's important enough they feel him, or they feel her. So it's then like, okay, so she's just the daughter of, like, the Dragon Lord that they all worship. And, like, upon everyone just accepting this as fact, Lucio, like, immediately strikes down Aster, basically, and that's it. Which further leads to me feeling like I never really beat Aster. He just kind of went ballistic, like, no one can stop me, and then got stopped because they found out it wouldn't be in the end. And then you get, like, some more conversations. You have Withalion talking to Celeste for the first time, like, as a father. Oh yeah, Lucio, like, immediately after striking Aster down is like, Cuthbert, Arya's contract, is it still there? And you reveal that it's, like, burned up. And then he's like, Min, the king has just been struck down, why have you not arrested me? Which is great. Like, I expected by the end of it, him to just have, like, a 180 moment of, like, Tyrion, thank you for acquitting my daughter type thing. I didn't expect him to just, like, slice down the king and to save her. That like came out of left field, but it's what I mean when I say that he grows on you. Like, he'd already acknowledged, like, Celeste as a warrior, and I think by, like, a good point into the case, he acknowledged, like, Tyrion as, you know, like a bastion of justice, someone trying to do, like, the right thing. But things kind of wind down. Arya and Celeste have a heart-to-heart. Arya's, like, upset because she signed the contract. She knew it was fishy, but she signed it. She didn't care. She was just so happy that she was finally going to be married to Aster because, again, her inner thoughts are literally keyboard smashes when she's around him. And it's like everything winding down. Tyrion realizing he never told, like a few days later, Tyrion realizing he never told Ruby what happened. So Ruby's, like, reading the paper for the first time, and it's like, oh, this reeks of a political coup. What happened? Oh, there's a picture of the new queen on the next page that was just descended upon us from the Dragon Lord himself. Like, oh, this is such a coup. I bet, like, this new queen is the most stuck up, like, noble ever. And she turns the page, and the game just ends on all caps, what the fuck. And then it rolls credits. Post credits, you get, it's like one more bonus scene between Celeste and Tyrion where they're out in the lake of Tyrion's hometown, and it's like, at this time of year, the ley lines, the magic goes crazy and lights up the city, and it gets really pretty. And she has the thought of, like, I love him, and he's like, your thoughts are leaking. And she gets mad, and he's like, I love you too, and they kiss, and it's great. So I'm really, like, if I could play that last trial again, specifically the last trial, not even the last case, but the last trial, I would have probably, like, played it 2 or 3 more times by now. Because it's just like, it's so good, dude. This case is so good. This game is so good. I read online that Case 5 was supposed to be split into 2 different cases. One where Aelys was the bad guy, and one where Aster was the bad guy, so it was supposed to be 6 cases, and they just ran out of... They didn't reach, like, the budget on the Kickstarter campaign. But this game, from what I heard, is done well enough that, like, the guy's already working on a sequel. You can find, like, promotional from the sequel on at Diamond Hinge. This is, like, Tyrion's design of a new game, and you've got Miriam 3 years later, and you've got the new prosecutor that Tyrion's gonna face, and Arya's new design, and Celeste's new design. Like, so they've been actively tweeting about stuff that's happened, or, like, to get hyped for the next game. There's no release date or anything. I think it's still in its early stages. This game came out, like, June last year, so almost a year ago. If anyone watched my my video where I rated, like, every game I played this year, if I'd known this game existed, I would have played it last year for sure, like, immediately. And without, like, beyond a shadow of a doubt, it would have been my favorite game that I played, even over, like, Hi-Fi Rush, which I loved, over Fire Emblem Engage, which I loved, over Tears of the Kingdom, which was, like, good, but not quite for me, over Resident Evil 4, which was, like, alright, over Bomb Rush, Cyberpunk, which I just didn't really like. Like, easily, this would have been my favorite game from last year. And I don't know if I'm trying to do, like, content creation anymore. I don't know if I'm going to do another video of, like, favorite games from this year. But as things stand currently, this is, like, my favorite game this year, probably, that I played. After the credits roll, after, like, the lake scene, we do get some more scenes that kind of hype up a potential sequel, if the game were to get that far, between, like, people from another country talking about, I keep trying to say Celeste, but, like, Tyrion, who is a Celestial or something like that, talking about him. You get a scene of, like, Ayla's talking with the other demons to kind of, like, hype up what could happen if the game did well enough. But yeah, I love this game. Like, if you like Ace Attorney at all, please play it. If you've played this, you've never played Ace Attorney, please play it. Like, I guarantee if you like one, you'll like the other. I might, like, I don't want to say that I prefer this over Ace Attorney. It definitely, like, if this was an official Ace Attorney game, it wouldn't be my favorite. That would go to, like, Investigations 2 and then, like, Great Ace Attorney 2. But this is absolutely up there in, like, the top half. And if we can get, like, a new game by these devs in this line, like, every so often, like, I wouldn't have any qualms if we never got another Ace Attorney game. I love this game. I'm very excited for the next game. And that's it. I would just keep rambling. A few thoughts I had in regards to what they could do for the next game. Celeste is queen now. I cannot imagine, like, she is the main assistant of the next game, unless the next game is primarily, like, a vacation to the other country where they get roped into shit. I can't see, like, the scope of this game, at least, like, the first 3, maybe even 4 cases of this game. I can't see the world where Celeste, like, takes a break from being queen to be Tyrion's sidekick. She's obviously gonna be there for the end game, whether that's last case, last 2 cases. Maybe she'll be there for, like, the tutorial case. But considering we know who the new prosecutor is, I actually think it would make sense if Alia became Tyrion's sidekick, because they already, like, respect the fuck out of each other. I cussed. Oh well. So, like, not that they have to do that. They could do Celeste if they really wanted to. But I think it would absolutely, like, make sense if Alia was the sidekick next game. It would keep her relevant, and it would let Celeste focus on queenly duties. I also kind of just can't imagine the game opening with, like, this is Celeste, my wife, the queen. It's like, okay. If you don't already know, that is a jump. Anyway, if I were to just keep talking, I'd just keep gushing about random things. I love this game. I love, like, the characters and their dynamics. I didn't talk about Orym, but Orym, like, at the start of the game hates Tyrion because he hates Ruby, because Ruby does shady shit. And seeing, like, his respect for Tyrion grow to calling him, like, boss, with, like, quotations when he fills in for Alia, like, it's great. You get to talk to a dog and he makes the Doge face. It's great. This game's great. Go play this game. That's it. $20 on Steam. $20 on mobile if you don't have Steam. This game's great. Go play it. Goodbye.